You are listening to Practical and Woo by Mindset and Manifest. My name is Eden, and I invite you to embark on a journey with me to explore the practical and spiritual edges of the unknown for the purpose of allowing you to embody and empower yourself uniquely as you are and to intentionally create and live a life of freedom and fulfillment. Each week, I am going to discuss topics such as energetics, reality creation, manifestation, astrology, tarot, and more to help empower you to live beyond perceived limitations and to practically design your life so it feels like absolute magic every step of the way. Let's dive in. Well, hello, brilliant soul. Wherever you are tuning in from, I want to invite you to take a nice, deep, juicy belly breath. Really allow yourself to breathe. Not just the kind that fills your lungs, but the kind that also settles your spirit. The kind of breath that reminds you that you are safe to soften here. For today's Mind Seed, we are going to explore a concept that I think quietly governs so much of the way we measure ourselves, measure our worth, and our progress. It's the boundary that lives between perfection and happiness. So often we are programmed to believe, either consciously or unconsciously, that perfection is the path to happiness. That if we just do it right, correctly, exactly, if we just line it all up and remove every imperfection, then and only then will happiness greet us at the end of the trail. The feeling of fulfillment that we've done it all for in the first place. In my time engaging with the world through my unique spiritual lens, I have gained empirical evidence for, and I've come to believe that striving for happiness through perfection is us moving backwards in the framework. Because happiness doesn't arrive after perfection. It actually arrives before it. I have come to see that it's the art of cultivating happiness first and foremost that leads to the kind of life others perceive as perfect. And it's happiness, that deep, joyful, luminous kind of happiness, that is the actual architect behind what the world so often attributes to perfection. We live in a culture that sells us perfection as a promise. Flawless skin, impeccable resumes, picture-perfect relationships, success stories polished for social media highlight reels. And woven into that narrative is this deeply embedded idea of, once I get it perfect, then I will be happy. Maybe you felt this in your own experience, that scratchy pull to curate every detail of your existence, to focus on fixing yourself to the zenith degree so that you can finally arrive at a promised land of over there, to hold back your joy until the last checkbox is ticked, which may never come. We chase, we strive, we compare, and we analyze, trying to make life seamless, smooth, and essentially untouchable, because perfection is always going to be a moving target. It's a finish line that keeps stepping further away from us, a carrot dangling in front of our faces. And it's in the act of chasing it where we unknowingly forfeit the joy that was meant to nourish us along the way. And while we run toward perfection, we run away from our own contentment. There's a lightness that lives in happiness, not in a giddy, performative way, but in the grounded, soul-deep kind of joy that doesn't even demand an ounce of perfection. The kind of peaceful happiness that whispers softly to us and says, I choose to feel good now. I choose to open my heart right here, right now. And I trust life even when it's imperfect. I am at peace in myself. This is the essence of happiness that changes the way you move through your life, that changes the way you speak, that colors your choices, influences your posture, and sparks your resonance. And without needing to prove a thing, you become magnetic. People look at you and your life and ask, how did you do that? How did you build your life so that it looks that way? And sometimes they try to emulate what they see on the outside, the structure that you've cultivated, the habits you've created, the strategies you've discovered. They copy your morning routine, the tone of your highlight reel, and they emulate the steps they perceive that you've taken. And in doing all of that, they miss the core ingredient, because it wasn't perfection that created the beauty in your life. It was pure happiness. It was being anchored in the frequency of joy. It was walking with a heart that trusts, celebrates, and lets life flow. It wasn't about what was done. It was about how it was done, with a delightful heart and a joyous spirit. So let's look at what appears to be an invisibly drawn, energetic boundary between perfection and happiness. On one side, you have control, precision, a desire for mastery that can quickly turn into a prison. And on the other side, you have presence, pleasure, a surrender to every new moment. I want to be clear here. There is nothing wrong with wanting excellence, and devotion to your life is a beautiful thing, as well as refining yourself, because your self-concept and the way you choose to be in this world is something sacred. And when all of these tenets are born from a belief that your worth or your happiness hinges on achieving them, the magic and the momentum becomes lost to a matrix of perfection. It's perfection that says, once I'm flawless, then I will be enough, versus happiness, which says, I am enough now, and from this place, I create everything that I'm wanting. When happiness is the energetic wellspring that infuses your whole world, everything you build within it carries an essence of aliveness that is palpable and felt. Your art, your business, your relationships, all of these things carry a sparkle that cannot and can never be strategized. You may be wondering how to lead with this sort of happiness first, to surrender the desire to be perfect before you allow yourself to feel. How do you feel joyful now when you still have so much that you want to refine? Here is where I invite you to reframe. Happiness isn't the denial of desire. It's not about settling. It's about releasing the illusion that joy is earned through achievement. It's about remembering that your worth is not a reward for perfection, but an already available inheritance. It's within you. It's innate. And when you claim it, you discover the crux of your power. And from that power, you become able to weave, to craft, to create your life into a vibrant masterpiece no matter what's transpiring around you. From this power, you bless your own becoming. When you do this, a funny thing happens from the perspective of those on the outside looking in. An assumption that you live a life of ease that unfolds like magic. But really, it's a life that is forged from happiness. I want to tell you of this woman who I've had the pleasure of knowing. She is someone who has this glow about her, something that comes from deep within her. You can see it in the sparkle of her eyes, in the way she listens, in the peace that she carries like perfume. In knowing her, I've come to learn that her secret comes from laying down the desire to be perfect and learning to be deeply happy with the life that she already has. She once mentioned that this was the formula that nurtured her becoming. She never stopped growing. She never stopped striving, but she always let her joy lead. Because there is a difference between effort and stress, between growth and punishment, between excellence and performance. And happiness, it's what defines the difference. When you lead with happiness, your life opens. You will undoubtedly still meet challenge, but you meet it differently. You meet it with creativity, with openness, with resilience, and self-mastery. You don't need a life to be perfect, to be good, great even. You don't need a relationship to be flawless in order to feel beautiful or have a beautiful existence. You don't need your work to be seamless in order to be meaningful. You don't need to wait until you figured it all out to allow yourself to shine. Because from happiness, the messy becomes artistry, the simple becomes sacred, and the detour becomes divine. So what would happen if you let joy into your life right now? If you blessed the process of your own becoming, if you chose the feeling that you think perfection will bring before you ever arrive there? Because what if the joy is the arrival? Maybe, just maybe, there is no there, only here, only this, only now. And when you bring your happiness into the now, into this moment, you alchemize it and you create from your wholeness. The world might call it luck, they might call it genius, they might call it magic. But you will know that what they're really seeing is joy made visible. You will know that what they're really drawn to is your aliveness. And you will know that it didn't come from chasing perfect. It came from choosing happy. So as we close today's episode, I want to invite you to ask yourself gently, where in my life have I been laser focused on perfection before allowing myself to be happy? And what if I let myself taste happiness now? What if that happiness is the very thing that brings more of the goodness I seek into my life? What if the truth is that my joy is not the result, but the cause of the life I'm wanting? You, my brilliant soul, are not here to be perfect. You are here to be fully alive, to be joyful, and to be radiantly you. And when you walk with a joyous heart, life meets you with a cascading experience of beauty that you do not have to chase. It unfolds naturally, as if by magic. From the outside looking in, it might just look like perfection. But from the inside, you'll know it was happiness all along. Until next time.